Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Plug with your host, Xavier Williams. We are finally back into the football season. Week 1 is finally here, and I don't know about you guys, but we definitely were able to see a lot of really good games. A little sloppy amongst some of the games, but for the most part, hey, for Week 1 especially, the opening game with the defending champions going up against the Houston Texans, and we'll get into that in just a second. To start off the NFL season, that was a great game to start off with. Now, of course, if you are first time watching the channel or if you are a returning member, please make sure you subscribe to the Sports Plug page on YouTube. And also, please like and share if you are watching this broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and also if you are listening to it on our podcast as well. Please make sure you leave a comment on the Anchor page or also like this broadcast as well. So, like I said, start of the NFL season. Finally, we did not think we was going to get here, probably because of course, we have this crazy thing called COVID going on. And also because of we didn't know if these players were going to be able to get through the rigorous testings to be able to play this year. But we're finally here. I know everybody, of course, is excited unless you don't want to watch the season this year, and that's perfectly okay. Well, welcome to being in America. You have your American right to do that. So if you want to check out the NFL season, hey, that's why we're here. Also, this year we'll be doing weekly pick'ems on my Sports Plug Facebook page. For week 1, I went 13-3. I don't expect that to happen every week, but for week 1 of the football season to start off 13-3. Hey, I got no problems with that at all. And like I said, with the pick'ems, we'll be going down the football schedule week 1, talk about every game. And then, of course, we'll talk about the week 2 schedule going into next week. So, like I said, the defending champs, Kansas City Chiefs against the Houston Texans. To be completely honest, it went the way I expected it to go. No shade to the Texans or anything like that. The Chiefs are just a high-powered offense, of course. I mean, again, if you watched last year and to see how much of a juggernaut they are when they are finally hitting on all cylinders, I mean, it's very hard to stop that team. The Chiefs started out a little slow, except for, of course, the drive with Hilaire and cap off a touchdown drive with them. They started off a little slow for their standards. Definitely picked it up in the second half and was able to finish out that game, win that game 34-20 against the Houston Texans. And, of course, the no wide receiver having Andre Hopkins for the Texans looks like it hurt just a little bit for the first game. Of course, with the Texans, their offensive continuity are going to have to work a little bit faster this year compared to other years, just because you want to make sure that Deshaun Watson is comfortable with getting that ball out of his hand a lot quicker than normal, because he doesn't have his safety net, DeAndre Hopkins, to get him out of, said problems. I think the Texans are going to be fine. Honestly, I see a 9-win season and making it to the wild card because of Deshaun Watson more than anything, but it's just so hard to be able to do everything on a professional level compared to college or high school level. When you're playing in the NFL, you need help, no matter if it's wide receiver, running back, tight end. Deshaun Watson, does he have pretty good wide receivers? Yes, he does. He has some pretty okay wide receivers, but for the most part, they're not DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm going to stop beating a dead horse, and we're going to move on to the next game, the bird game. We had Seahawks versus the Falcons. Seahawks winning that game 38-25 over the Falcons at home. Bright side for the Falcons. I mean, hey, you had 3 wide receivers catch for 100 yards passing. So I mean, that's pretty good Falcons wise to look for the next week's slate of games. Playing the Cowboys for the Falcons. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons pull out an upset win against the Cowboys. Again, with all of these teams, week 1, I saw a lot of offense that just were not gelling yet, and that's going to come with time. The defense, all the games that I watched this on Sunday and Monday, everybody was flying to the ball. no matter if you had the worst defense last year or the best defense, no matter what level you're playing on high school, college, or pro, the defense is going to come flying. They're ready to hit somebody. They haven't hit anybody since training camp, and they're tired of hitting the same guys. So they're going to come out balling, right? So I was expecting, of course, the defense to come out and do what they're supposed to do. Offense is going to be a little sluggish. It is what it is. So for the Seahawks, it looks like they are playing with a little bit of motivation, a little bit of chip on their shoulder, with Russell Wilson out there putting up 38 points in an away game. The Falcons defense, going to have to come together just a little bit faster. Now we go on to an AFC East game. A lot of divisional games as well this week one. So this is one of, I want to say, 4 divisional games we've had this week one. Jets and Bills. I picked the Bills to win this game, not just because they are a better team, but just because the Jets, I just honestly look at them like the bad news Bears. They just are also just can't get right. Every year they try to make it seem like the Jets are going to do something this year, and they haven't done anything since Joe Namath. Their best years maybe in the recent 20 years is maybe the Chad Pennington days with Keyshawn Johnson. But other than that, I mean, the Jets, Sam Darnold just looks like he's regressing. Josh Allen actually looks like he's progressing, and he's actually a quarterback that I would be on the look for these next year or two when it comes to consistently getting the Bills in the playoffs and being a leader year in and year out. Josh Allen, man, is definitely surprising me with every game that he plays, every snap that he takes. I just can't speak enough about Josh Allen. Honestly, I see a lot of good things in him. He might not be the fastest runner. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Kyler Murray, but he knows when to tuck the ball in and run. He has a pretty good arm, and for what the Bills need, he's a great asset for them. I'll say that. So, another divisional game, Bears versus Lions. Picked the Bears to win this game because I just felt like the Lions were going to be the Lions, and they ended up being the Lions. Again, if you did not watch this game, if I were you, go back and check out that last minute of the game. The Lions had an opportunity not to tie the game, but to actually win the game. And I'm sorry, not even tie. I'm sorry. They had an opportunity to win the game because they lost 23-27. Matt Stafford throws the ball to DeAndre Swift right in his hands, and it hits him on the 1-yard line. All he has to do is hold on to the ball, turn into the end zone, and he wins the game for the Lions. Ends up dropping it right in his hands, and the Lions, of course, do what the Lions do, and they did not finish out that game. So, Bears won that game. We gotta see more from the Bears. Again, this is week one. You know, this is for everybody. No matter the team, we gotta see a little bit more from everybody. The Bears, I don't think anybody's really sold on Trubisky. I'm pretty sure the city of Chicago is not sold on Trubisky. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how that all plays out. We'll see what happens with Nick Foles. We'll see if we ever get to see him make an appearance later on in the season. But you know, it's the Bears beat the Lions. You know, people like to say the Lions are finally going to do something. I don't really see it. But that's what happens, Lion organization, when you get rid of Jim Caldwell and you bring in Matt Patricia, right? You want to get better, all of a sudden you got worse. So that's on you. Shout out to Andrew Von Wiesenthal for checking out the show. He said Bears defense showed up, and they definitely did. Bears special teams with 110 return yards as well, and that is a good stat to have. I appreciate that, Andrew. Shout out to another divisional game in the same division, NFC North, Packers versus Vikings. I actually was going to pick the Vikings. My choice initially was going to pick the Vikings because I felt like if the Vikings wanted all of us to take them seriously, this is the day that it starts right here. Game 1 against the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, you're at home. You have everything you need. Just sign Dalvin Cook. You know, you sign out thing over the offseason. Let go Diggs. Cousins got paid. Hey, this is your opportunity to show everybody why we need to take y'all seriously in NFC North. And guess what they did? They didn't do it. They lost 34-43. Aaron Rodgers was a bad man that he was. Stephen A. Smith would like to say. And he did what he did. Of course, out here, as we say in Houston, Texas, swanging and banging. these touchdown passes out here with 32 for 44, 364 yards, 4 passing touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers on the day. And as they like to say for A-Rod's, hey, that was slight work, baby. That was slight work. So it looks like Aaron Rodgers picking up where he left off at, but it also shows that the Packers organization needs to stop playing with that man and help that man out with some help. Okay, that's what y'all need to do. So on to the Dolphins versus Patriots. I'm a little disappointed in this game. Very, very disappointed in this game on the Dolphins side. Very impressed with the Patriots, with Cam Newton and what they were able to do on the Patriots side, because when it comes to the Dolphins, the same way I talked about with the Vikings before, I expected the Dolphins to show us that you guys are a new team, new coach, new players. I understand, same front office, I got all that, but we needed y'all to show us as fans why we need to take y'all a little bit more seriously. And only put 11 points up in Foxborough with a Patriots defense that is okay. Let's be real. It's not the same Patriots defense when they won Super Bowls, or even, just top 10 defense. This is an okay defense. Yeah, Stephon Gilmore, of course. He's not going anywhere. But overall, they lost a lot of pieces. Van Noy, Jamie Collins, and it's just a lot of guys for that defense. I felt like it would leave a weak spot for the Patriots, but apparently Patriots are the Patriots, same way the Lions are the Lions, and made sure that they set Cam Newton up for greatness with the Patriots, and were able to score 21 points and win the game 21-11 against the Dolphins. Now, again, this is just week one. I feel like the Dolphins will play a little bit better. In the next upcoming weeks, but this is a tough one. Like I said, this is a divisional game. I wanted the Dolphins to come out there and show again the world that, hey, these are not the same old Dolphins. But we'll see by week 4, week 5. We'll see what happens with that. All right, the Eagles versus the Washington football team. Now, just to go back to what I said before, I said we had about 4 divisional games. I was wrong, because we definitely are about 5 divisional games already, and we have a couple more, so we had a lot more divisional games than I thought. That's on me. My apologies. Eagles versus the Washington football team. I actually picked the Washington football team to win this game, not to piss off my Eagle faithful, not to do that. I promise you, I love my Eagle faithful. I really do. But I just felt like the Washington football team on the defensive side of things, we're going to be able to get to Carson Wentz, and not surprisingly, but as we saw with Carson Wentz on Sunday, he was on the ground a lot more than he was standing up. So that part came true. I was not expecting Washington as an offense to be able to play as what they did in the second half, because they were down 17-0 and was able to score 27 unanswered points. So that was very, 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 very interesting to see Washington come together as a team. And reports also said as well that Ron Rivera had to go get an IV at halftime, a scheduled IV, due to his skin cancer treatment that he has to go to. He has to get chemo. I would not be surprised at all this year if this team is playing for Ron Rivera, and wouldn't be surprised if they pull out a couple wins they're not supposed to. Am I saying they're going to win a Super Bowl? Not at all. But they'll probably win 8 games. They'll be in the mix for maybe a playoff spot, but it's just going to be very, very tough in the NFC. The NFC is stacked this year. It's just very, very stacked. Shout out to Lorenzo Guy. Appreciate you for joining in on the show. Go Eagles, go. Again, Andrew Von Wiesenthal with, it's a tough choice to start Fitz or Tua in Miami. Right now, you got to stick with Fitz. This kind of reminds me of the Cleveland Browns situation we had with Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield a couple years ago. Everybody wanted Baker right out the gate. I want to stick with Tyrod Taylor. Of course, he got hurt, enter Baker Mayfield, and now the Baker Mayfield era is going on in Cleveland. But from the get-go, you have to start with the veteran. You have to give. I don't want to say you have to give him the reins. He earned it. He earned it in camp. But it's his team to lose, either injury, not performing well, or just whatever it is, until Tua and then you can insert Tua in, and then we'll see from there. But for right now, I don't want to put Tua in a position where he's already 0-4 and you have to save the season. That's not a good place to put a rookie quarterback in that just coming off of hip surgery. So I wouldn't put Tua in that situation. All right. Raiders and Panthers. Now, this is my first loss of the weekly pick'em. I thought I had this one. I was expecting the Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater to show out and a close one against the Raiders, but the Raiders, with John Gruden, kudos to them on week one. I have to admit, and I have to give it up to them week one. I was not expecting this at all. For Derek Carr, 22 of 30, 239 yards, 1 touchdown. Of course, the main guy of that whole offense, Josh Jacobs, with 25 carries, 93 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Again, the offense is slow with everybody, and I'm going to say this no matter if it's the Texans from the first game all the way to the Titans, the last game of week one. Everybody on offense does not look comfortable yet, and that's going to come with time. Even with Christian McCaffrey, 23 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's not a bad stat line, but don't be surprised in another week or two he has about 4 touchdowns on 26 carries and whatnot. We'll see him really get into the groove of things. Colts and Jaguars, AFC South division rivals. I actually picked the Jaguars for this game. Not because I don't like the Colts, but because I thought the Jags would surprise some people week one, and they did, because there was a lot of rhetoric with Phillip Rivers coming to Indianapolis and taking his talents to the cornfield and thinking that he's going to be the savior for the Colts, which is not going to happen. And we're going to really see how good I apologize. Phillip Rivers, we're going to see how good Phillip Rivers really is with this Colts team, because I just don't see them being a potential threat around week 12, week 13, week 14. And we'll come back to week one. We'll see. But for right now, the Colts, you just lost Marlon Mack for the season, torn Achilles. T.Y., of course, is a threat anytime he plays against the Texans. But other than that, is anybody really worried about the Colts like that? Besides the defensive side of the ball and offense, you got to scare us a little bit more, Colts. I know again it's the week one game, divisional opponent. I got it. I understand. We're gonna let y'all make it, but Colts, we're gonna have to see a little bit more out of y'all. Jaguars play the Tennessee Titans next week. Be a very interesting game between those two teams. Browns and Ravens. Again, another divisional game that I was wrong about when it comes to only being 4. It might as well just say 40 divisional games, because that's what it looks like right now. So, Browns and Ravens. Again, if you're somebody that watched football this past 2 years, you would probably know that the Ravens are going to win this game. And the Raven faithful, Raven flock, Raven eye, whatever you want to call your Raven group, you guys are hype about this win. I don't know why, because you probably should. You should be. You should understand that this was a win that you're supposed to have, I should say, because the real challenge is this Sunday when the Ravens, play against the Houston Texans, and that's going to be the real challenge, because I feel like the Texans are going to pull off the upset against the Ravens, and I think they're going to win that game. Now, again, we'll check back in next week, but the Ravens, good team, but sometimes they like to slip up. Sometimes they like to slip up on certain games, and I would not be surprised at all playing in Houston next week that this is one of those games. We will see. The Browns, the only thing I can say about the Browns right now is that, again, if you haven't seen reports, just after one game, reports are already stating that the Cleveland Browns are already looking into shopping Odell Beckham Jr. Now, honestly, that would be the best thing for Odell Jr. if you want to be completely honest, it'd be the best thing for Odell. Where will he go to? Honestly, we don't know because I'll have to look into salary cap. I have to look into team needs and all that stuff like that. But if the Texans have the money and they have the opportunity to get him, Texans, make the deal. Do what you need to do to get him. If you get Odell, you are back into the running for not just winning the division in the AFC South, but contending for a Super Bowl in the AFC as a whole. But again, we don't know about Odell's competitive nature. It seems like when things are not going his way, as we saw with Week 1, his body language is horrible. It doesn't seem like he wants to be a part of the game. So we have to see where Odell wants to be at. We know he loves the game. I'm not saying that, but I got to see where Odell wants to be at when it comes to football-wise. So we just it's very interesting on Odell's part, but we'll see. We'll see. Andrew again, he says the Packers should pick up OBJ. He's used to playing in cold, and he's a perfect complement to A-Rod's deep balls. Now, I wouldn't say he's used to playing in cold. He was playing in cold for a couple years because he's in New York. But remember, he's a Southern boy from Louisiana, so I'm just being real. Us Southern boy, we don't care about the cold too much. I don't know about all that, Weezy, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. So we'll definitely see. And again, shout out to Lorenzo Guy. I do appreciate you definitely with the hands up. Yo, X, my boy, keep the great work. A lot of hard work and dedication here, and I support that. Where's the merch? Lorenzo, the merch is coming. I promise you it is. I got to keep building this. I can't put out merch if I ain't building out the right thing, baby. I got to build this first, then we can put out the merch. But I do appreciate the supporters. I really do. Let me finish this up so I can get y'all going on the rest of y'all day. Chargers and Bengals. I picked the Chargers, and I was very close to losing that one because the Bengals had an opportunity to win that game on the last drive when Joey Burrow, speaking of Louisiana and LSU boys, Joey Burrow was able to take the Bengals down the field to actually set up a game-winning field goal that the field goal kicker missed. And speaking of field goal kickers missing field goals, we'll get to that with the Tennessee Titans a little bit later on, but yeah, not a good day. Not a good week, I should say, for field goal kickers already. Buccaneers and Saints. Now, this was probably the most anticipated Week 1 game. If you check out our show, Kinfolk and Them, 9:30s on Tuesdays, my boy Ishmael, he said this was his game to watch. Was a really good game. But because of the continuity that I feel as though the Saints have had for such a long time, not just with Drew Brees and Sean Payne, but just the Saints as a team, it seems like they play a certain way. They're going to play a certain way, and they're going to, of course, make sure that they allow and put themselves in position to always have a chance to win. Sunday, it didn't need to do that because Tom Brady is still a little rusty, and that's okay. Again, everybody's rusty. I expect that. No real training camp, no preseason games. I expect everybody to be rusty. Everybody calm down. I promise you, everybody's going to be okay. But the Tampa Bay defense, I'm more surprised and want to pay more attention to that Tampa Bay defense heading forward, because if they can make that defense kind of like a 2000s Tampa Bay Buccaneers Tampa 2 defense, I'm not saying that it is, I'm just saying if they can make it like that, then the Buccaneers have an opportunity to contend for an NFC championship. Now, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, the NFC is stacked. I really don't see the Buccaneers even. If the playoffs were next week, they wouldn't even have a chance. But over time, this offense and defense will gel together. And because of the leadership of Tom Brady and the guys that they have on that team, I would not be surprised by week 14, week 15. They are right there in the thick of things. All right, Cardinals and 49ers. This is another one of those sleeper pick'em games. A lot of people went ahead and picked the 49ers because it's a good look to pick the Niners. I went ahead and picked the Cardinals because I am really banking on Kyler Murray this year. When Kyler Murray first came out of high school and going to Oklahoma, and I heard about him through my cousin, and he told me that he was the best high school Texas football player he's ever seen, I said, sir, you're smoking crack and you need to go watch some Vince Young football tape. But when he played at Oklahoma, my mindset changed about him a little bit, because when he was able to play against University of Texas in Red River Shootout, that game was very eye-opening to me, to where I was just like, you know what? Maybe this guy's a bad boy. Last year, hell of a rookie year. I don't think he should have been Rookie of the Year, either Josh Jacobs or A.J. Brown. That's just my opinion. But this first game against a very good, now remember, guys, this is a 49ers defense that just came from the Super Bowl. This is a really good defense. And for them to do what they did with newly acquired DeAndre Hopkins, Houston Texan fans, I know y'all out there listening. I know y'all miss him. Because I don't miss him as a Titans fan. I don't miss him. But I know y'all miss him. 14 catches, 154 yards receiving. Larry Fitzgerald out there still putting work. You know, this Cardinals team, I picked them before the season started. This Cardinals team is going to be a very slept on and underrated team, and I would not be surprised at all if they have a playoff spot in the NFC this upcoming year. Cowboys Rams. Now, this game, if I was a Cowboys fan, I would understand completely why I would have gray hairs, or I'd have to pull out my hair, or probably just want to do things that hurt yourself, because watching this game, which I picked to be the best game of week one, just due to the Cowboys coming in with so many expectations. On the offensive side of the ball, you have Mike McCartney coming in there, of course. He used to be Aaron Rodgers' head coach. So you have so much expectations for the Cowboys coming in just week one. Again, it's just week one. I expected them to do a lot more than just put up 17 points with the type of offense that they have against the Rams. Now, I'll say this. The Cowboys' defense, to only give up 20 points to a Rams team like that, and on a away game, that is pretty good. I would definitely say that the Cowboys' defense, for them to play that well on week one, I will salute them on that one. Again, the offense has to come together. We shall see. But to have all that talent on offense, Dak, there's no more excuses. Dak's no excuses. All my Cowboy friends and fans and whatnot, for the people that say they'd rather have Dak than Deshaun Watson, we gonna find out. We gonna find out. We gonna see, because I don't see it. You take Dak over Deshaun. All right. Again, we gonna see. We gonna see. But shout out to the Rams. They closed out a very difficult, tough game on a Sunday night in their new home stadium. If you haven't got a chance to check that out, please go check that out. Beautiful stadium. Shout out to the LA Chargers as well. They have to share that stadium, but beautiful stadium. And if you ever get a chance to go check it out while you're in Inglewood, definitely go do that. All right, on to these Monday Night Football games. Wrap up this show for today. Steelers versus Giants. Steelers, of course, were the favorite coming into Monday Night Football. I, of course, picked them not because of their favorite. Just, I think this is a redemption year for Big Ben. As much as I think that Big Ben might need to hang it up, it's good for him as an athlete to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm not done yet. I feel like I got 1 more, 2 more, maybe 3 more years left in me. And because of modern medicine and because of being able to rehab differently, being able to do things differently, it's allowed athletes, as we see, of course, Tom Brady, LeBron James, Roger Federer, whoever it is, play a little bit longer, and not just play longer, but actually play at a high level longer and be successful. And I think with Big Ben this year, with the distractions away from Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, it gives Big Ben the opportunity just to be able to play football. Great stat line, of course, this for this game: 21 of 32, 229, and 3 touchdowns. And to be completely honest, I mean that's a bad game. I mean that's a bad game. If you actually watch the game, the stat line going to show this, that, and a third. But over here on the Sports Plug, we don't care about stats. Stats are just icing on the cake for me. I don't care about stats. We talking about stuff that happened on the field. That's what we talk about over here on the Sports Plug. So when it comes to the stats part, that's just extra icing on the cake because stats don't tell everything that happens in a game. So with that being said, Steelers did what they needed to do. They came in there, gave the Giants what they needed to give them, which was a dose of reality, thinking that I guess Giant fans think that they're going to run Saquon 35 times and he's just going to run for 20 yards every game and beat Barry Sanders. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Saquon Barkley is not Deion Sanders. He's good. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's a little overrated. And people can call me crazy, call me whatever. I think he's a little overrated, and we're going to see real soon when it comes to what the Giants as an organization are made of, because they have a tough schedule, and with being in the NFC East, I mean, the Washington football team now looks like the main football team to go up against right now in that division. Look at that division. The Washington football team is leading the NFC East, which is really funny, just out of week 1. But the Giants, man, I mean, it's just disappointing to watch them. You look at that organization from winning 2 Super Bowls in the mid 2000s, beating Brady and the Patriots, to I know what it is, the front office, that's what it is, but I just don't get it when it comes to the Giants. Is Daniel Jones is not a good pick. I'm sorry, Giants fans, if you don't want to hear that, but Daniel Jones is not a good pick, and it's just very it's just very sad to see the Giants. Honestly, it's just very sad to see how much they've plummeted since the early 2000s. But it takes the right GM to get in there and change up some things. And hey, we saw with the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors was low-key I won't say a laughing stock in the NBA, but nobody took them seriously. Get Masai Ujiri in there, change up some things, win a championship. There you go. So shout out to Jacob Piccolo. Hey, just to let you know, shout out to the last name. Piccolo, I know what's up, Dragon Ball Z. He said, I'm torn between Naeem Hines, my bad, and Malcolm Brown for waivers, non-PPR. Just to give you a heads up, Jacob, I don't really do fantasy. Not because I don't know it or because I don't play it, but because I kind of stepped away from fantasy back when I was playing fantasy 2005 time frame. It was a lot different than what it is now, so I kind of stepped away from it. But I might be bringing it back for people like you, Jacob. If you want to listen more of fantasy, I might bring it back. We'll see what happens. All right, just to wrap up week 1, Titans and Broncos. Of course, if you've been listening to Sports Plug, and if you do know me, you know, of course, I am a Titans fan, but I am not a irrational Titans fan. I'm a realistic Titans fan. So, to be completely honest, after week 1, I am a little bit disappointed with the way that we won. But a win's a win. It's the NFL. Doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win, that's all that matters, correct? Okay. We'll get right into the kicking issues because I know that's the big elephant in the room. Everybody wants to get on. Of course, it's Steven Gostkowski with the 3 field goals missed and 1 extra point missed. But what do clutch players do when it's time to be clutch? They make clutch kicks. And that's what Gostkowski was able to do. And when the Titans was driving down on that last drive to set up for the game-winning field goal, I did not want that to happen. I wanted y'all to punch it in, finish that drive off with a touchdown, and we could be able to go to Nashville with no problems. But to be completely honest, watching that game, I wanted Steven cut that damn game right then and there. But more than anything, this you know what this shows me? I'm gonna look right to the camera right quick. You know what this shows me? This shows me Mike Vrabel as a head coach, man. Mike Vrabel, and I know again, I know a lot of my Texan friends got on me because they thought Mike Vrabel was a joke. You know, our leftovers. That's fine. I got you. But when it comes to making sure that no matter what happened those 3 quarters before, or even the fourth quarter, whatever happened, those 59 minutes and 59 minutes and 55 seconds prior, I'm going to set you up for success. And I believe in you. I just need you to believe in yourself so we can go out and go win this game. He goes out there, makes the kick. Titans win 16-14. So, not just it being an ugly W. That's not what I'm worried about. I love the grit and I love the competitive nature that the Titans were able to show against the Broncos, because the Titans as an organization, from the Titans dating back to the Houston Oilers, have not won in Denver since 1987. I was born in 1990. So you know what that means? They haven't won since before I was born. So for us to win a game in Denver in that altitude on Monday Night Football, playing the way that we did, honestly, I have to be happy and tip my cap to Mike Vrabel, because what I do know is they're going to scratch that game out of their heads today and get ready for Jacksonville week 2. So, and before I finish off with this game, the Broncos, honestly, they look really good. The defense looked really good, even without Von Miller. And I think the offensive side of things with Drew Lock, they still have to come together. But Drew Lock I'm very impressed with Drew Lock. Honestly, I'm very impressed. I think the Broncos are going to be fine. They just play in a tough division, the AFC West, and that's, of course, the Chiefs' division to lose. But for the most part, I big ups to the Broncos. I think they are a team to be reckoned with in the AFC. We just have to wait and see how everything goes. And hey, this is week 1 of the NFL season. We'll be back next week on our Tuesday. We'll have Tuesday shows every week of the football season to recap our weekly pick'ems and, of course, talk about the NFL season. So if you guys want to join in on Sports Plug, I would definitely appreciate that. I love talking to you guys, and we'll see y'all next week. Make sure, if you want to check out our comedy show, check out Kinfolk and them later on tonight at 9:30 on Tuesdays here on the Sports Plug. If you don't know where that's at, it's on our Facebook page. It's also on our Instagram page as well. So thank you guys. You guys have a great rest of the day, and hopefully you guys get you a W next week. If you didn't get a W so far, don't want to be 0-2 going into week 3. All right. Yeah, have a good one, guys.